Good morning, everyone. Let's welcome Dr. Krishna Kumar Soni. We value your contribution and willingness to help IIT Ropar to grow campus healthier and to saving your precious time. Uh, I welcome students, staff, faculties on the behalf of Snehita Wellbeing team, Dr. Reddy. He is the head of Snehita Wellbeing Cell, Dean of Student Affairs from Electrical Department of Engineering. Dr. Satyam Agarwal, he is a faculty member in Snehita Wellbeing Cell from Electrical Department of Engineering. Mr. Deepak Phogat, clinical psychologist, counselor, IIT Ropar. Uh, let me share. Let me share words my my grandmother used to say. My maternal granny used to say that when you are worried of your future, think in the present, and when you are not worried in the present, think of the future. Our worries, if we heard properly, always motivate us to making conscious decisions. On the other hand, anxiety, if not managed, always stops us. Now, management is a second problem. Sometimes acknowledging signs and symptoms becomes the issue, especially in the particular moments. Sometimes people harm themselves, other times unknowingly withdraw in the environment. So today the condition we are going to discuss is generalized anxiety. So dear friends, we want you to be comfortable. Any word or sentence that strikes your mind, put it down on the paper, get relieved. Our guest will share information for 40 minutes. After that, you can ask your question and feel free. So let's welcome each and every one of you. And I hand over mic to Dr. Satyam Agarwal to please introduce our speaker.
Thank you and good morning, all of you. It's my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Krishna Kumar Soti. Let me give a brief bio of the speaker. Dr. Krishna Kumar Soni is currently working as assistant professor in clinical psychology at the Department of Psychiatry, PGIMER, Chandigarh. He has completed his MPhil and PhD in clinical psychology from Central Institute of Psychiatry, Ranchi. He is a registered clinical psychologist under the aegis of Rehabilitation Council of India. He has formerly served PGI Rohtak for 5 years as assistant professor, and he has also worked with NBRC Manesar as a consultant in clinical psychology. His area of research is in the domain of child and adolescent mental health. He has also been a fellow of Dr. Ramchandra N. Murthy Foundation for Mental Health and Neurological Sciences. He has published various research papers in national and international high impact journals, and he has supervised many uh, M. Masters and PhD students in the field of clinical psychology, and he is also a member of the State Mental Health Authority, Haryana, and a visiting expert at RCI, New Delhi. So, so we are very fortunate to have such a eminent speaker with us. Dr. Krishna Soni, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and accepting to deliver a small talk for our IIT Ropar community. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I hand over the platform to you. Please guide all of us in this matter. And I hope that all of our students and other campus communities take benefit of this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Satyam, Dr. Satyam. Before starting this session, I would like to feel my gratitude to Dr. Reddy, you, Dr. Fogat, Bhavna Suri, and the whole this counseling cell team. They have given me opportunity for this session. I'll try my best to give maximum information to the students so that they can learn from this. After this session, they can feel comfortable, right? So I'll just put my slides here. I'm unable to see my PPTs.
I saw that you opened it and I could see that you're sharing the slides, but there is no folder. Yeah, it's presenting.
Now the slides coming.
I can see that you're presenting to everyone, but I think you have not clicked on the documents. It's not opened.
Now is it
Not
okay
yet.
now?
Not yet.
Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Now is it visible now?
Dr. Soni, you can open your PPT. So you have shared your screen, the whole screen. I think.
I opened my PPT.
Yeah.
Satyam.
Yeah, only white screen is coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 24th I will finish.
So, sir, are you able to see your PPTs at your screen?
Able to say.
So, is there any option where you can share your PPT with
And now
the
is
audience
there.
or
Just a minute. I'll just check it out. But that's showing your window only.
Deepak, we can see his appearance. I think, is it something that only one thing can be shown, his appearance on or the PPT? Because I can see Sir face, but I think he has to hide himself in order to present PPT. What do you think?
I'm not sure whether sir Satyam sir
Because Dr. Satyam, can you please?
This is the option of present
so
now.
out of the audience, if any participant is aware with the the sharing options, the screen sharing option, please share. Sir, you
Okay,
can
so
disconnect it once and then restart it either, or present now. You can click on
Just a minute.
present now. Wait. Okay, just click on present now, share a window, choose the PPT window only. Sir, present now का option हाँ आ गया yes, now it is visible now. Yes.
yes. Thank you, Kapil, and thank you. Who's the other one who suggested? Kapil and Ashutosh. Thank you, guys.
Dr. Soni, your mic is muted. Can you unmute your mic, please?
Thank you, Satyam. Now is okay?
Yes, sir.
So basically, we are starting with this topic. So when we are now is audible, audio is clear.
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Right, fine. This anxiety has basic negative connotation in all the languages. This is term which we use in day-to-day life. We are not calm, we are fearful, narrow-minded. There are so many negative issues, negative connotation with anxiety. As we are saying in Latin word, its basic meaning is trouble or upset responses of perception of any danger. Though sometimes this anxiety can be helpful in our performance to increase our performance, but this is positive when this stressful event is there and this is enhancing our performance. But once the stressful situation is not there, and after that time also we are feeling anxious, we are feeling upset. These are basically trouble to our performance. Basic three element we should consider when we are talking about anxiety. One is physiological, cognitive, and behavioral. All these three elements are directly involved with anxiety symptoms. In layman term, if we will discuss apprehension, motor tension in respect to restlessness, trembling, or autonomic arousal. These are the three basic elements we directly linked with human being. And whenever we are feeling any stressful situation, any anxiety situation, these all three domain rise up in our body, and at the same time our performance will go down. But there is basic difference between anxiety. There is one anxiety that is known as trait anxiety. It means there is anxiety which is in our personality. Sometimes we can feel anxious all the time. If you will see about your surroundings, about your friend circle, some people will say, "Yeah, I'm feeling anxious all the time." It means there is trait of anxiety. Sometimes that state anxiety will give us tension when the situation will arise. For example, this COVID pandemics. If this pandemics came, this is giving you so many trouble, so many stress. So that is state. Once this situation will go down or go apart from this condition, you will feel relaxed. But trait anxiety will continuous comes in your this one. The person who has anxiety of trait, they have personality wise, they are anxious. They have more episode of state type of anxiety. Whenever a small situation will come, when this minor situation will come, they will feel anxious. And in layman term, how this anxiety will come in our body in the form of headache, neck shoulder pain, back pain, stomach upset. Sometimes this can be known as irritable bowel syndrome, chest pain, tight muscles. So these are the symptoms which directly or indirectly we can feel it. Now, this is a very basic question when we are discussing anxiety, when we are discussing about stress, about anxiety, fear. I'll tell you one major issue. If you'll see 2020 internet search or website search, the basic three words was searched by so many people. That is COVID, fear, anxiety, and depression. This was the maximum typed word has been typed by the internet and searched by the human being. So here, what is the difference between fear and anxiety? In very layman term, fear is basically external, that is known, definite, and non-conflictual threat. There is some dangerous thing, and you will fear that But in anxiety, that is very unknown. This is internal feeling, vague and conflictual. In this diagram, you can see there is very good picture. This small fish is basically fearful about this whale because he or she is in a danger situation. This is a true fear because this external danger is there. But in anxiety, this small fish is only thinking if some bad big fish will come and she will make harm, what will happen? So this is anxiety in right side, which we all the people are feeling. So if we differentiate this fear versus anxiety, fear is a basic emotion. Everybody have this primitive emotion, but anxiety is generalized mood state. This is a very automatic cognition because this involvement is directly with brain only, right? Hypothalamus, thalamus, or pituitary gland. But in anxiety, this is a very complex cognition. Fear is very discrete, but anxiety can be in a chronic shape. Means this is a long timing. It's depend on movement, that fear. But in anxiety, sometimes this can be learned behavior. So various domain has been there which can differentiate from fear to anxiety. At the same time, when we are discussing about stress and anxiety, what is the difference? Like stress basically comes when there is any trouble with you, short-term trouble. For example, job loss, fight with loved one or friend circle, chronic illness, academic pressure. These are the stress. So once this stress will out, your anxiety will be go down. But in anxiety, this always persists. Like stress is there or not, that beyond this limit, that will persist always. There is one common thing between anxiety and stress regarding this symptomatology. That is very common. Identical set of stress as well as anxiety, you can feel it out. Again, there is few domain which is very pertinent to stress and anxiety. That stress is very specific, anxiety is more diffuse, right? It has very mild emotional stress, but anxiety has severe emotional stress. Stress can be managed by problem solving technique. For example, you have to appear in your exam and you are worried about your exam. So once you will prepare for your exam, you can sort it out your stress. Or once this stress exam will be over, you will feel relaxed. But in anxiety, vice versa. If exam will be over, you have prepared well. After that, you are feeling anxiety. It means anxiety is not out of your control. That is not in your control. And with stress, you can manage your life, day-to-day life, in your college life, in your school, in your family. But in anxiety, that will hamper your psychosocial functioning. There are various theories has been came out when we are discussing this basic phenomena of anxiety. I will not go in detail, but yes, if we discuss few major theories, that is very famous Freudian concept. That concept is related to childhood development. That is saying there is some sexual fixation or developmental fixation in the human being. Through that, we are developing this anxiety. So this is basically trait anxiety. If somebody is having personality issues, somebody is having anxious trait in his or her personality. Behavioral issues is altogether different from Freudian concept. Behavior theory is saying whatever you have learned, that is giving to response. It means that is conditioned. For example, your teacher has been called you, and he scolded or she scolded like you like anything. The next time, whenever you are going in his room, you will be more aware, you will be more cautious, you will be more vigilant. What will happen to me? So this is learning theory. So sometimes this is saying this is based on developmental issue, but behavioral theory is saying that is based on your learning. Existential issue is basically related with our existence, we-ness. And biological theory is saying basically biochemical related issues and genetic issues. Now, when we are discussing anxiety, there are different domains are there. There are different diagnoses are there in anxiety disorder. We'll start from generalized anxiety disorder. So generalized anxiety means what? This is persistent and excessive. This can be related to money, health, family, work, and other issues. But this is a persistent anxiety. Every time somebody is feeling anxious, what is the reason? They don't know what is the reason. But every time that feeling of apprehension is there, something is will go wrong. If we'll ask what is going wrong, they don't know what is happening around him or her. So this is known as generalized anxiety disorder. There is same we discussed. There are some personality issues. If a person who is very negative, by personality wise, temperament wise, or characteristic wise, or he is very timid, so there is a chances to develop generalized anxiety disorder. Yes, there is a genetic history. If somebody's parents are very anxious, there is more chances to develop this anxiety in their children. Being a female, women are diagnosed with GAD somewhat more than male. The second is panic attack. This is more or less same if we are discussing about the symptom. But once panic attacks come, this comes very abruptly. Not like generalized anxiety disorder, the whole day you are feeling anxious, a whole day you are feeling apprehension. But in panic attack, the more or less symptom is related to heart attack. Like there is sympathetic arousal will come in the form of palpitation, pounding heart, accelerated heart rate, sweating, trembling, shaking, problem in breathing, feeling of choking, and chest pain. So more or less, this symptom is just like a symptom of heart attack. This is known as panic attack. In any condition, in any situation, this can occur with any individual. If you will see that there is sudden stress will come, so many people can react like this is a choking sensation. It's like right, and we can't predict this attack. It is different from GAD. Like you can see the symptoms of panic attack. Same sweating, dizziness, heart attack like features. And if we want to diagnose this disorder, if there is 4 panic attack in last 4 weeks, then we can diagnose the panic. Very common diagnosis in the spectrum of anxiety disorder, that is phobia. If we are discussing phobia in a 4 categories only, that will be more suffice. This is related to environment, animal, medical treatment, and situation. Very commonly, everybody can feel this type of symptoms. Here we are discussing related to environment. Agoraphobia is very common diagnosis in anxiety disorder. This is related to feel, places and situation, and you feel you are trapped. There is no outway. Where this can come, this can come in crowded places. It can come on bridge, lift, train, bus, or aeroplane, where the person will think there is no outway. There is no way to come out from this situation. That panic-like symptom can occur in this phobia. Now, this is very common in females also and males also, but more common in childhood. That is needle phobia. More common male or female, that is snake, cockroach phobia, blood phobia. That is related to specific object. What is the difference between specific and social phobia? If it talks about in the treatment perspective, the specific phobia is easy to treat rather than social phobia, because this is related to a particular object. Now we are discussing about social phobia. This is a marked and persistent fear of performance situations. Like somebody want to go in the parties. Somebody want to go in a friend circle with unfamiliar places, or where the person will think they will scrutinize by the other. On that situation, this fear will come in the form of humiliation, the form of craziness. This basically occur in social phobia. There's two type of social phobia. One is basic, which everybody can feel. Students are commonly feel, that is known as stage fear. That specific social anxiety disorder or performance anxiety, how we will speak on the stage. The second one is very common, that is social, when we are interacting with the people, when we are going in a new situation. So this is generalized social anxiety disorder. This basically social anxiety disorder occur at the age of 20 years, but the prevalence mean plus minus age is 14 to 16 years. The onset is very insidious, right? What happened in this situation? When you are going on a stage, for example, or you are feeling with a performance anxiety, the basic feature to come out from the situation, that is thought blocking. You don't know what to speak, how to speak. Sudden arrest of train of thought. It means that you can't speak, you can't share your view about the feeling in the group only. This overwhelming fear can come in the form of trembling, blushing, and sweating. Everybody can feel, or somebody can have observed in their own this one, over the time of presentation, they are feeling more sweating, more craziness. These symptoms can occur. In which situation this can occur? At the time of eating with your friends, you are eating, ordering food, writing. Whenever you are going in a bank, and bank manager or employee will say you just make your signature on the checkbook. That is known as writer's cramp. You are unable to make a signature. Asking question, introducing yourself, meeting with stranger people, and to use public facility like restroom and telephones. So these are the conditions where these can be occur. Why this occur? Because as we discussed, if somebody is having timid or negative personality, or they are very much shy or reserved, they are very introverted. That is very common in this type of people. If there are some problem when they have this type of feeling at the age of marriageable age, they face some problems in this age. Or sometimes they can use drug addiction or alcohol to reduce their anxiety or to increase their performance. This is very common, the part of anxiety spectrum disorder, that is obsessive disorder. Here, obsession and compulsion, there is two different phenomena. Obsession is related to your thought, and compulsion is related to your action. In obsession, what is the common features? So, obsession has excessive, irrational, repetitive, intrusive, senseless, distressing, and try to resist. These thoughts basically come in a person, and he is unable to resist. He is unable to, stop that thought, and that thought itself is very distressing. So, this is an obsession. It can be related to thoughts, it can be related to impulse, it can be related to image. At the same time, when we are talking about obsession, there is another part is compulsion. That is repetitive behavior. For example, checking the lock, counting money. So these are the compulsion. So this obsession compulsion basically occurs at the same time. But few people only develop obsession, only thoughts, day-to-day life disturbing with this particular thought. And their socio-occupational functions are very disturbing in obsessions. As we discussed, obsessions are basically six types. One is doubt, like something will go wrong. What will go wrong? We don't know. But that thought is persistent. Obsessive thinking, always ruminating something. Obsessive impulse, I will do something wrong. I can't control myself. obsessive fear, obsessive image, and miscellaneous form. At the same time, compulsion are two types: yielding compulsion and controlling compulsion. For example, I will just give you an example. If there is one clerk and he thinks there is some important document in his pocket, again and again he is checking his pocket. That is yielding compulsion. Controlling compulsion, when somebody want to stop his thought, but unintentionally, unconsciously, he's giving some compulsion. For example, he's counting 1 to 10 to stop that particular obsession. That is known as controlling compulsion. So this is very common. If we discuss about the prevalence and epidemiology of OCD, this is a illness which basically, predominant in female only. So this is a circle which basically comes in obsession. Once obsessive thought will come, that will generate anxiety. A person will feel uncomfortable, he will feel discomfort, and he want to make some action. He want to come, fulfill that satisfy that particular thought. Then he will do compulsion. Through compulsion, he will feel temporary relief. I'll give you one example. For example, somebody is feeling that his hand is not clean. He has dirt and contamination obsession, for example, and there is this thought will generate anxiety. Now what he will do, he want to wash his hand so that he will feel comfortable. Obsession thought will be down. Then he will go for compulsion. Through compulsion, he is feeling relief. So this become a circle: obsessive thoughts, anxiety, compulsion, and relief. So this become a OCD. As we discuss, almost 2 to 3% of world's population is suffering with OCD. Nowadays, we are seeing so many childhood cases of OCD, less than 10 years of age. And the main age is 20 to 24. Though the OCD cause is still unknown, but if we diagnose in early age, more good prognostic factor we can see. Now we are discussing about post-traumatic stress disorder, that is PTSD. The mental health condition that's triggered by terrifying events, either experienced or witnessing it. The symptom is same like anxiety only. All the three domain somebody can feel, that is physiological aspect, emotional aspect, cognitive aspect. But more or less there is sympathetic arousal. That is flashback memory will come, nightmares will come, and that will generate your physiological issues. For example, palpitation, increased heartbeat, sweating. Here we will discussing epidemiology of all the anxiety disorder. As we discuss common disorder of anxiety like GAD, panic, OCD, social phobia, agoraphobia. Now, what is the prevalence of all the disorder? As we discussed, anxiety disorder basically comes or develop before age 30 and predominant in women only. And if there is a history of anxiety and depression in family, there is more chances to be developed. As we discuss genetic factor. If we discuss United Status 1 year prevalence of only anxiety disorder, that is more than 13.3% at the age of 18 to 54 years. But above 55 years, that is 10.6%. Here we can see the prevalence of anxiety disorder. Social anxiety is more, then PTSD, then generalized anxiety disorder, panic attack, and OCD. This is man-woman ratio. In all the anxiety spectrum, you can say the more rate of female rather than male. Now, what is the reason for devastating of this illness? There must be few reasons that basically delay the treatment. Somebody feel like I'm not comfortable to speak about my problem. They never share that I'm feeling anxious. They try to manage by themselves. Or they will think, if I will discuss or I will share with the doctor, they won't understand what is happening with me. Because exactly these students or this person, they don't know there is some illness known as anxiety disorder. They think this is the only illness which I am suffering with myself only. Nobody else is suffering with that. So they think nobody can understand my illness. Or sometime when they are dealing with this illness with a long period of time, that become a part of personality. They don't want to get treated. They think I can manage. So these basic three reasons are very important in the delay of the treatment. Now, what should we do if somebody will come and he or she will share with their anxiety issues? What is our role? What is the role of counselor? So, सबसे पहले, like, we have to perform the diagnostic evaluation. We have to take the history of the patient or the person, where he or she is feeling the anxiety symptom. Then evaluate the particular symptom, whether this is a part of generalized anxiety disorder, anxiety spectrum, OCD, or panic, because all the spectrum is have their own different treatment paradigm. Then the severity. Then very interesting is personality assessment and assessment of comorbidity. Personality assessment, as we discussed, there is a trait personality and state personality. If this is a part of trait personality, it will take more time to be recovered, because this is a part of temperament. Then if we are talking about assessment of comorbidity, when anxiety will come, there is more chances to be develop depression. It come with the depression also. So there are high chances of comorbidity. As we discussed, this is a casual model of anxiety spectrum disorder, started with biological, as we discussed, genetic and neurobiology, psychological factor, and environmental factor. Now we are discussing treatment of anxiety, how to treat this anxiety. See, there are three basic methods to treat this anxiety. One is pharmaceutical treatment. If a person has severe symptoms, he is unable to manage his life, day-to-day functioning is very tough to do, then we have to start some medication. That can be in the category of SSRI or benzodiazepine. But anxiety spectrum disorder can be very well treated by psychotherapy. There are five basic domains, in which the first is very important, that is psychoeducation. As we discussed, delay in treatment. Nobody knows what is happening with me. If they know this is known as anxiety, they will search, they will do something for that. So psychoeducation is very important. It has been seen in various studies, like OCD patients can be improved 30 to 40% after psychoeducation, because till time they don't know what is happening, why they are doing this activity. But once you will psychoeducate, see, this is illness, this is onset, this is course, this is treatment, the patient will feel relaxed. Then the importantly, supportive psychotherapy. We have to support the patient that this is not unique illness. So many people are suffering with this illness. This is treatable, right? So these type of supportive psychotherapy, this is basically our internal process for unconscious or conscious process, but this will help the patients. Then very interestingly is cognitive behavior therapy. As we discussed in the domain of learning, that this behavior is learned, so we can treat this anxiety disorder through CBT. Then behavioral technique and insight oriented psychotherapy. I will not go in detail because this is very technical, but yes, I will discuss few of the slides. These are the very specific techniques for OCD, for panic attack, for phobia. Like in behavior therapy, we are using desensitization, behavior modification, behavioral activation. So what is desensitization? See, when some object will come, for example, we are discussing in term of specific phobia. If somebody is fearful with a snake or lizard, here what behavior therapy is saying, we have to teach them, and we can convey this meaning that two emotion can't occur at the same time. You are anxious and you are relaxed. So here we are introducing few techniques I will discuss later, that is, for example, relaxation, right? So once the patient is fearful or anxious, we will give some relaxation to him, then we will give him graded exposure to the event or fearful situation. So these are the very technical therapies which we can introduce in the patient. Then cognitive therapy basically will deal in depression, but yes, they have their own role in anxiety disorder. Nowadays we are seeing third wave approach, that is mindful, ACT, and DBT. These are the specific technique as we discussed. Now I'm talking in a very layman term, how to treat this anxiety. See, we have three basic phenomena in human being which works for any illness. One is thought, one is behavior, one is emotion. These all circle, interact with each other. For example, if somebody is having negative thoughts, how he will feel? His emotion will be negative. He will feel sad. How is his behavior? This emotion will basically instruct the behavior. If somebody is having negative thoughts, feeling sad, his behavior will be, he don't want to interact with people. He just want to sit in a hostel. He just want to sit alone. So this behavior again lead to thoughts. So this become a circle. So we have to break this circle. How to break this circle? So we'll start from thought only. See, this picture is basically discussing about avoidance behavior. Sometimes we try to avoid the situation. We are feeling fearful and we are feeling fearful to a situation. What we will do? We will stop to going in that particular situation. So that avoidance we should stop. Very basically, very basic phenomena which we deal in day-to-day life. We have two type of coping. One is problem focused, one is emotion focused. If something happened wrong, we will try to rectify it. We can change it. If you will see yes, we can change it, then we will see the alternate, how to change it. That is basically problem focused. If you will basically go on emotional focus technique, for example, some problem is there and you will say no, I can't change it, this will be there only, this will affect my health only, this emotional focus will lead you so many issues, psychological issues. Like I will give an example of pandemic. My family will get the virus and I will die. This is a thought. The thought can be changed into most people who get the virus can recover. This is only thought. We are not discussing about any emotion. Now, this is very good phenomenon when we are discussing thoughts. This is known as unhooking. Unhooking means these parents want to play with their child, but he has that thought that I am not good player. In my childhood, I was not playing very nicely. So maybe I will not play here. This thought will hamper in his whole session. So he will just lie down. What is a difficult thought and feeling? What will happen if you play? You will fail. You will be defeated. Or we have to refocus what you are doing. So these are the basic things which we have to put in our thoughts. Now, once he will recognize the thought, he will play. We'll see. Okay, with the thought only we will play. We will enjoy this session. This activity will be changed. See, I'm noticing feeling of anger. She is on dining table, but she has some previous thoughts and she was thinking about the thought only. Now she has notified her thoughts process. And now she is refocusing his present status. Right. Now is emotion, how to deal with other elements. This is very common when this anxiety will come and somebody is feeling very anxious. All the sympathetic arousal will come. This deep breathing basically affect. For example, you are very much angry. You just inhale and exhale. 3 times you have to inhale and 6 times you have to exhale. For example, 6 seconds. So this inhale and exhale will increase your oxygen in your body, and that will change your thought process. Another is diaphragmatic breathing. This you can do by lie down. And mental imagery. Whenever you're in problem or in anxiety or aggression, you just try to concentrate on your breathing and try to assume some comfortable position and you be relaxed, be comfortable for a few moments, for few minutes. As we discussed in last slides, that is systematic desensitization, how to relax ourselves. This is a very common exercise, and through that exercise we can be comfortable. How it will help, I will give you one basic example. For example, if I will say you just imagine a lemon in your mouth, you will feel soreness, you will feel saliva in your mouth. The same principle will work in relaxation. As we discussed, we have two type of system, sympathetic and parasympathetic system. And in anxiety, sympathetic arousal will be more. Without any danger, you are feeling anxiety. Without any danger, you are feeling hopeless, helpless, and depressed. So this basically, neutralize your sympathetic and parasympathetic system, and definitely you will be comfortable, relaxed. Now we are discussing about behavior. Very common issues, very very simple task. I will discuss with you rather than I will go in more technical words. Like you should plan your activities. That is very important. Procrastination is basically sometimes can develop anxious symptom, anxiety symptoms. So you have to plan your activity. You have to deal with your whole day. Take 5 minute talk with your friends, family member, other trusted person. How do you feel? Sometimes even sharing with the things can improve ourselves. Sharing the anxiety issues can improve yourself. Is basically prohibited smoking and alcohol, as we discussed. Sometimes we want to decrease this anxiety through substance abuse. So that is not healthy. Healthy diet, yes, that is very important. Sleep. See, whenever the psychological issues will come, the basic symptoms started with biological. That is appetite and sleep. You can see in depression only the first symptom started with sleep disturbances or appetite disturbances. So here you have to manage your sleep and circadian rhythm so that this negative consequences of health can be calmed down. Your immunity system can be improved. So regular sleep, exercise is very much beneficial in anxious anxiety. These are the 7 wellness tip: sleep well, exercise well, love well, play well, work well, eat well. So this can improve your immunity system. I'll conclude with this brief discussion. Like psychoeducation is very important. As we discuss, if we are giving just information about the illness, if we are giving information about the problem, more than 30 to 50%, this is improved. Right? We have to label somewhere. Now, how to treat it, that is different aspect. Then self-monitoring is very important issues. How to counter your anxiety beliefs, how to exposure the fear beliefs, like sometimes we can use graded exposure, how to modify maladaptive behavior, that is we discussed about the thought diary, and to improve the interpersonal and other emotional issues. So these all issues are very important in treating the anxiety spectrum disorder. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now the house is open for questions, and I would like to request to our participants to share their queries, and they can straight away directly ask their questions from our speaker.
Hello, Dr. Soni.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Prabal Banerjee here.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, nice to listen to you. I am with this type of discussion for a long time.
Sir.
I am as a sufferer also. So you are talking about CBT. CBT, what is the, what I can tell? What is the easiest way to follow these CBT things actually?
Sir, basically, before I'm coming on CBT, more basic question would be, what is the symptom you are facing? Right?
Yeah.
It's depend. Like if somebody is having only depressive symptom, the whole protocol will change. If somebody is having only anxiety spectrum disorder, the whole scenario will change. In CBT also, we have to see the temperament and personality of a patient, of an individual. That is very important. Sometimes only CBT suffice, but sometimes we have to go through REBT, rational emotive behavior therapy. Right? There is difference of personalities, where somebody is very, very talkative, very verbose, they want to come out from that particular situation. They can do whatever work I will assign to patient. They are very happily work. So these issue is basically deal with the symptoms as well as personality of the patient. So CBT has basically 3 component, which if we are discussing in context of depression. So here we have to work out on cognition, and here we have to work out on behavior. So both concept will help to the patient.
Okay. I'll talk to you later, maybe.
Sir, definitely, sir. Definitely.
Yeah. Deepak, you can ask others.
Yes, sir.
Anybody want to share their own experience, because we want to make it more interactive rather than didactic lecture only. So you can share openly with your experiences. Maybe we can help it out somewhere. As we discuss, only sharing is sometimes very beneficial.
Right.
You're not going in theoretical.
Yes, sir. Not in respect to, especially in respect to clinical challenges.
Definitely.
I would like to request each one of the students they can simply share their day-to-day challenges, whatever they are facing in terms of managing their academics or managing their daily schedules. So they can share their challenges as well, and they can simply ask then how to deal or how to manage with all those challenges.
Hello, sir. Sir, I would like to ask that in layman terms, how do a person know that they are suffering anxiety?
Okay, fine. As I will not go in technical terms. If somebody is facing anxiety, right? So few symptoms he or she will feel. For example, apprehension. Ashanka bolte hain usko. Every time he is feeling something will happen wrong. Then there must be some cognitive arousal, physiological arousal. For example, if you are going in a new situation, your heartbeat will increase, palpitation will come, sweating will come, and once you will come out from that particular situation, if you are all right, that's okay. That is part of state anxiety. But if this is persisting for a long period of time, you are unable to concentrate in a new task, you are unable to give your full energy in any particular task, then it it is anxiety, and you should go for professional help.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Students can ask questions at the time of examination when you feel some symptoms. Feel free to ask to perform better.
Sometimes this symptom can make a hurdle in your career. You are very good academician, no doubt at all. You are very good learner, but sometimes these anxiety symptom can make a obstacle in our career, because we have to face interview also. We have to go in so many process whenever we want to get something in career. So these symptom we should take very seriously, and we try to get up from that symptom. We should not live with the symptom, as we discussed. We should not make habitual with the symptom. We have to come out from that symptom. That is very important, which I want to convey with you people.
Sir, one of our student have asked that can listening to good music help in dealing with anxiety?
Definitely. Nowadays we are using music therapy also.
Yes,
So
sir.
definitely, distraction is a very good treatment. Distraction is very good technique to be come out from that depression, this anxiety only. But that's depend. As I discussed with you, anxiety is a free floating phenomena. Once you will come out how to manage this anxiety, that is more important. You have to treat your etiological factor. You have to go for complete management rather than for a time being. But for the time being, yes, music therapy can enhance your performance.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, I would like to know one about the continuous mental thoughts, which are like coming over and over. You sometimes go into the argument stage with yourself only. How to break this circle? Like it not only creates anxiety, disturbs your sleep, but sometimes you went out in that zone. Uh, you don't want to come out from that stage. So how to
Mhm.
handle this
Can
situation?
can you can you Rita, can you clarify more delineately so that I can understand your query? I can give you more beneficial answer about that.
Like, sir, something happened in something happened in your life, and you know you are dealing with that and you have to deal with that situation, but the situation is not resolving and you yourself want to resolve that situation. So you sometimes plan the strategies and how you will ask or how you handle the situations. So
Okay. Yeah,
in back of the mind, that thing goes every time in your daily routine.
I got it. I got it.
Yes.
Rita, before answering this question, I will tell you some very good phenomena of stress.
Mhm.
This stress theory has been came out in 1940s near about, right? Given by Sally. There is basic domain. One is alarming phase, then is registering phase, then is exhaustion phase. There is three phases. Whenever stress will come, our body will react. Our body will give you alarm. For example, in the form of palpitation, in the form of racing thoughts, in the form of so many physiological. Then resistance will teach us that there is some stress and we have to deal it as soon as possible. If we'll try to resolve that stress. If we won't resolve, then exhaustion stage will come, and that will wear and tear our body. They will give you more negative effect over body. So we have to deal every stress within the time limit. पहली चीज, we are unable to deal it if something is there which is preoccupied our mind. So we have to see the importance of that particular thought, and we have to stop that thoughts, because preoccupation thought can be part of obsession also sometime if this is an extreme form, right? So here we have to work in both the aspect. One is we have to analyze whether this stress has been long lasting, chronic, and we have to come out from that stress by our own. If we are not unable to come out from that stress, you have to see your day-to-day life is hampering, then you have to take some help.
That's the main reason, sir. If we started some medication, like sometimes we share this thing with our doctor that sleepness is happening and everything, like sometimes it happens like insomnia kind of situation. So they always prescribe you some medicines, like relaxing medicine, not sleeping pills. So it work for a particular time, and after that you will matlab, after that in normal days you even your sleeping routine disturbs. So, but that back of the mind thoughts are not stopping. So how to stop that thing? Like switching over the reading books or music, nothing works. Like in your back of the mind, you want to resolve that situation in your life. So that was the
Okay.
main.
Okay. See, if you are talking about pills only, if you will go for some doctor, he's related with pharmacological. This one, he will prescribe you if you will say there is sleeplessness, sleep problem. I will tell you, sleep problem can be come out with so many issues, with anxiety, with depression. That is very common feature, and with few sleep hygiene, we can improve this sleep problem. I'm telling you, our body have our own capacity to heal with so many issues. Sleeplessness can be one symptom only. And it is not syndrome. That is only symptom. And with one symptom, we can't start medication. Like this is only symptom, and I have to go for treatment only. Yes, if this sleep is related to your thought pattern, there are so many techniques. For example, thought stopping is one technique that you can apply. You can make your thought diary that you can do. And dissection technique you can apply. Scheduling you can do, because you are saying I'm trying to put myself in other work, but that won't work. So better than that work, you have to make your behavioral scheduling on the basis of master and pleasure principle. You have to enjoy that activity. That should not be burden for you. So if you will make on the basis of master and pleasure, that definitely work on you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, sir, one of the student have asked that, sir, sometimes I feel I have anxiety issues and sometimes I feel I am all right. How to tackle with it?
Okay. If this is for a very small period of time, it can be normal. So you should not worry about that issue. But if you are feeling that is hampering your day-to-day life, I may say you just go for counselor and try to make some counseling session for yourself.
And the last question is how to deal with procrastination, sir.
Here, there is very good model, that is Eisenhower matrix. You must have heard about that. These 4 matrix. You have to make your important and urgent work in a first priority. Then important but not urgent. Then not important but urgent. That is very good matrix. If you will go through that matrix, you will make your procrastination solve. For example, important and urgent, do it. Important but not urgent, plan it. Not important, urgent, delegate it. But if this is not important, not urgent, eliminate it. So these are the basic phenomena which we can do in our day-to-day life.
So one more question, sir, have been asked, sir, how to behave with depressed person on daily basis who is on medications?
Okay, this is
So simply in or
I will suggest my clinical experiences. With my clinical experience, I will suggest you behave in a normal way, like you are dealing with a normal person. There should not be other than this. But if there is some patient with suicidal thoughts, with high risk issues, then you have to be more observation, more vigilant behavior should be come out from your side. You have to observe every time. There should not be any negative this one action in the form of suicide. And
sir, is continuous pain in the back of the head a symptom of OCD?
no, directly we can't say this is a symptom of OCD. OCD is basically related with your thoughts and compulsion only. So there is comorbidity of somatic complaints. As we discussed, anxiety come with the comorbidity of depression sometimes. So in females, this comorbidity come in the form of somatic complaints, back pain, lower body pain, so many other symptoms can come. Weight loss, insomnia. So these are the somatic complaints can be occur with comorbidity.
Okay, sir. At the last, I would like to request you to simply recommend some of the layman based on your experience, layman techniques, which the students can generally utilize or generally implement in their day-to-day routine, just to manage their anxieties if they come or if they somehow feel in ever. So.
My basic suggestion to you people, like, one is for the student, one is sharing. You please share your thoughts, right? maybe there is solution of the thoughts. Sometimes we think there is no solution of my problem, but there is so many solutions available. Once you come out from that shell, so sharing is very important. And the second important thing, you must be more optimistic rather than you must be pessimistic. It won't be comfortable. It won't be treatable. No, everything is treatable. You come out. You should not take any short-term treatment plan. You should not make any short-term, for example, to use of substance abuse. You just avoid it. And I'm telling you, if there is any issue, just discuss with your teacher, discuss with your family member, discuss with your friend. That is very good doctors for you, right? Thank you, Deepak.
So thank you very much, sir. On behalf of Snehita Wellbeing Cell, I would like to share my heartiest gratitude and thanks to our speaker, Dr. Soni, for his comprehensive talk. It was really an enriching experience for us in understanding the concept and nature of anxiety in respect to the physiological and psychological state characterized by somatic, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral components. And you have simply discussed the basic difference between fear and anxiety, stress and anxiety, and all the classifications of neurotic or anxiety related disorders, epidemiology, prevalence, and its causes of anxiety. So sir, no, you have also shared that how this anxiety may debilitate any clinical conditions if it sustains for long or chronic in nature. And you have clinically educated us various comprehensive multimodal therapeutic approaches in dealing with the anxiety, that is psychoeducation of parents, behavioral interventions, cognitive behavior therapy, mindfulness-based psychotherapy, psychodynamic and family therapy, along with pharmacotherapy. So we hope all of the participants have enjoyed it and gained some learning in enhancing their knowledge. So we are grateful for the time and efforts you put into sharing your thoughts and experience with IIT Ropar. Thank you again for your contribution, sir. I am profoundly grateful to our Associate Dean Student Affairs, Dr. Reddy sir, for his support in this initiative. Sir has been engaged in some another meeting today. So, and I also acknowledge my thanks to our faculty advisor, Dr. Satyam sir, for his encouragements, my colleague Bhavna for her liaison, all Snehita buddies. At the last, to the entire participants, students, faculties, and staff who made this talk success, I share a worth of thanks for sharing your precious time with us. Once again, thanks everyone for your participation. Jai Hind. Thank you very much.